And I think I win?
It's turn 0.
If Flash wasn't okay, it wouldn't be legal, Brian.
Excuse me. Hello, Tolarian Community College and Surplus Fish Supply. How may I help you? Oh, hello, Wizards of the Coast.
What do they want? What is it?
Yeah, no, that is Vince. He's here.
What are they saying? Was it, they want me? They want me?
Okay, well, I'll tell him. Thank you very much. That was Wizards of the Coast.
What do they want?
They want us to come work for them.
Work for them?
Yes, and the only condition is we never make another YouTube video again.
Yes!
Hello, and welcome to the new Wizards of the Coast.
As the latest addition to the Wizards of the Coast team, we're excited to bring you some new developments that are coming to Magic this year.
What sort of changes are we talking about, Vince?
First of all, we will be abolishing the reserve list effective immediately.
I hear there's a problem with lawsuits if we do this.
No.
I'm also pleased to announce that we'll be bringing back player rewards. Go into your local games store, play Magic the Gathering, earn points, and get cool cards. It makes a lot of sense. We used to do it. It was popular. Well, we're doing it again.
Speaking of cool cards, now the GP promo for the rest of the year will be one of each of the 10 Fetchlands when you enter any Magic Fest anywhere in the world. Speaking of which, more GPs in Australia and South America and the Pacific region, because you deserve to have fun too.
What a great way to incentivize play by offering GP promos of cards needed to play the game. Awesome new change, Vince. And speaking of GPs, guess what's coming back?
Coverage.
Coverage!
But don't worry, Commander players. At Command Fest now, we're going to have a new exciting development for you because we're banning Flash. Flash is now effectively banned immediately in Commander.
Wasn't Flash a turn 0 win that was causing more problems than Iona?
Apparently so we thought we'd ban it.
But I didn't think that Wizards of the Coast had authority to ban cards in Commander.
We didn't, but we do now. We're taking back control.
Suck it, Rules Committee.
In addition to that, the precons want to have good mana bases.
Good mana bases in a Commander precon, but what about guild gates?
We'll have to just put them in the draft sets where they're relevant and take them out of the Commander product where they're not.
What are we gonna see in their place?
Battlebond lands, fetch lands, more fetch lands, shock lands.
That's going to decrease the cost of playing Magic the Gathering while also increasing sales.
Yes!
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 Speaking of something that's good for everyone, we're bringing back masterpieces. That's right, in the upcoming Zendikar Return 2 set, we will have expeditions again of the Zendikar Fetchlands. And also, we'll be reprinting Fetchlands in the Zendikar Return 2 set.
And we've decided to go whole hog and not have Tango lands or whatever other rare lands we'll have in the set in that slot too. It's just fetch lands.
Just Fetchlands.
More fetch lands.
All the Fetchlands.
All the fetch lands, all the fetch in time.
You need them to play the game, and they're $100. Fetchlands.
Tune in this time next week for more.
Sorry, I'm getting a. Oh, it's upstairs.
Oh, cool.
Hello? Yes, he's with me now.
What do they want?
All right, I'll let him know. We've both been fired.
Huh, wicked. That did not last very long, did it? I thought we did a good job. I thought there was a bright future coming up.
Well, I don't know. I think when we talk about the future of Magic the Gathering, one thing I see is the ever-rising cost of this game.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, Magic's an expensive hobby. To say it's not would be disingenuous, I think. It's quite, as far as luxury hobbies go, like other board games and other card games don't cost the amount of money that Magic does, right?
It depends on what you compare it to. So you've done a few versions of this on your channel. I've done a few versions, like I've had more than one video where I compare just how many video games you'd have to buy for a certain product, or I even did board games in one, and those are more related. But for example, I have friends who are into cycling, and so you take out up something, the idea of like cycling, and I'm talking about as a hobby, not like, oh, I like to go on a bike ride. But
Yeah, sure, there are more expensive hobbies out there, like cycling and golf and things. But
sure,
I mean,
golf's another one.
and comparable in the same sphere, though. Like, I mean, you often buy all-inclusive, like £40 board games, and that's it, right?
Right.
With an expansion here or there,
Right.
Or even other card games, as far as I understand it. The cards don't. You don't get things like Legacy and Vintage existing in other card games where the cards cost. They do for the collector's items, but not for actual game pieces you need to play.
Yes, I think that it is fair to compare to other hobbies, both related, and I think it's fair to say, listen, it's not so outrageous if I say, I like to go play golf, and I don't have to be a millionaire to play golf. There's plenty of people who are what you might call, lower middle class that enjoy golf, and that's where they save their money and spend it on a nice set of golf clubs, and that can be very expensive, or even just going out to the course once a week. But I do feel that it is fair to make those comparisons, and I feel that overall there is a sense that the cost of Magic is rising, that the cost of this hobby, whether you view it in isolation or in comparison, is going up. Do you think that's just perception, or do you think that's accurate?
I think just as time goes on, that's definitely going to be the case if you want to play anything beyond standard. But even then, the game is designed to make your cards become not useful anymore, to buy more cards for standard and things. And I think as well, one of the other points to that comparison is when you talk about buying some nice golf clubs. These are golf clubs that are crafted from like metals that are like forged in like a workshop. We're comparing that to pieces of cardboard that are sometimes artificially scarce, right?
Right.
So the growing price of Magic is kind of tied not only to needing new golf clubs, a new standard deck every season or whatever, but also to the fact that certain cards don't get reprinted enough and therefore just become artificially scarce, because it is artificial, because Wizards of the Coast at any time could just go, barring the reserve list, of course, could just go, okay, here's this printed at common if they wanted to. So there is a comparison there in that aspect.
A huge factor is how you play the game. For example, you could say, listen, every Friday night, go down to your local game store. Play a draft. It's $15. You get a full night. How long does a draft at your local game store
two,
last?
3, 4 hours.
3-4 hours, I would say, especially, like there's some time you finish up. There's the one thing running, you're talking with your friends. $15, you've got a chance at a couple prizes. You get to spend an evening with people that hopefully you like, having fun. Once a week you go in and do that, and that cost isn't really changing.
No, it's been the same for years.
Engage more but once a week, $15, go and do that. That's fine. You want to engage with the game more, though. You want to then have a standard deck. So you take your draft cards.
The most expensive of all the formats?
Right. No, it's not. Standard isn't the most expensive.
I would disagree. Like, the fact that you can play standard in a very smart way. There are people who buy and sell out of standard decks and get to keep standard being a cheap endeavor, right? But that's not the majority, right? I'm a very switch-on, engaged Magic player, and I still will, if I start playing standard, will have a deck that will rotate out and lose its entirety of its value, even if I buy something that's budget, like a mono white list that's currently popular or whatever. So I think standard can be, you can play it smartly, of course you can, but it can be easily the most expensive format, simply because you have to keep engaging. Where with other formats, you can just buy in and, barring slight updates, have that deck be. Commander's a very good example, right?
Right.
Especially where it's not even competitive, so you don't have to upgrade if you don't want to. You can have stuff that lasts for 2, 3, 4 years with no updates or minimal updates needed. Standard doesn't allow you that privilege, and that's just one of the criticisms of standard. There's obviously upsides to that, the evolving and changing meta games. So if you are a standard fan, I'm not yucking your yum. I'm just saying that there is a very good chance that if you are not hyper engaged with it at all times, it can end up being a lot more expensive than any non-rotating format or something more casual like Commander. However, there is a flip side to this complaint that I'm basically saying about standard being expensive, is that for quite a while now, they've done quite a good job, and we have to give credit where credit is due, of driving down the price of standard staples by basically driving down the cost of cards in current sets. Some people see that as a mistake. Some people see that as a problem, because the EV of a box is much, much lower. The estimated value of opening a box is much, much lower. However, standard decks aren't getting to the Jeskai Black or the Jace the Mind Sculptor Baneslayer eras where cards were, some of them are still astronomically expensive, but not to the extent that they have been in the past.
But is it possible that this decline in standard prices that we're seeing is less a result of an intentional effort on the company's part to bring down the price of standard staples, and more a result of, we just had what quite possibly was the worst year of standard
that doesn't
in
help,
a very long time, that we also have had lots of, let's say, unusual blunders, more so like, listen, there's always mistakes, but I would argue that we have had more mistakes in recent year than we typically experience in the game that have caused disinterest. We have had a lot of devicery issues like the shift to digital, and that all of this could simply be reflective of less interest in standard.
That's definitely part of it. That's definitely part of it, but there are some conscious decisions, like for a short while, the move to the Expedition lottery card model meant that people were just cracking more boosters than ever before, driving down prices. And then we've had more recently the move away from that again, which we'll probably talk about more in this episode.
Yes.
To all sorts of varying products. Like foils right now don't hold the value they once did because collector's boosters are like bringing those prices down too. So there is some conscious effort to do this.
Well, we'll talk about the enormous number of products as well as the loss of lottery cards in just a moment. But since we are talking about standard, let's take a quick look at standard prices.
Okay,
I've got right here, and we're going off of MTG Goldfish, so this is a rough guesstimate of average decks, the decks that are seeing play in the format. But yeah, these prices are better than what they were years ago. However, I do feel that standard is less of a desired format than it was a few years ago, that the thrust for standard a few years ago, every weekend you're watching coverage on a GP where people might be able to get on camera and you're going down to GPs to play and you want to play standard to have that opportunity. You're not seeing a record number or a near record number of bans happening and homogenized decks.
But in some ways though, the weekly coverage of GPs has been replaced with people watching people grind ladder on Twitch. Like with Arena, right? Like again, another point we have to like acknowledge is the fact that as much as these standard paper decks are going to be of a certain cost, you've still got obviously the argument that perhaps Arena is cheaper and or more expensive depending on how you play Arena, right? Like in terms of playing standard.
Okay, well listen, mono red aggro, $150. It's not bad. I mean,
yeah.
What do you think a standard deck should cost?
Probably around that. The fact that that's the lowest entry point is the bit that starts to get me.
Yes, that is the lowest entry point. But yes, $150. Now the thing with standard is shifting from the idea of draft $15 a week to standard is that I put together mono red aggro, and then in 1 year I'm gonna have to buy another deck. Will you get
10 FNMs out of that deck?
If I would.
So in which case, comparing it to the draft, that's actually reasonable.
But as you said, that's the lower end. Jeskai Fires, $440.
So that's how many drafts?
More.
A lot more.
A lot more.
I mean, and again, just to plug the YouTube channel I've got, and he's going to say, you have a YouTube channel, and everyone in the comment section is going to go, yes, he has.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at deck prices.
You
have a YouTube channel?
But I did a video on a legacy deck that was $300. Now, you've got some upgrade paths to make it like the legitimate full-powered version, but it's still a version that can go toe-to-toe with existing legacy decks for $300. And that's a deck that, barring bans and barring extreme shifts, thanks to things like Modern Horizons, I guess, it's not going to go anywhere. So that's why I find, when you get above the $200 price range in standard decks, I start to like think, oh.
I find myself very frustrated when I post a modern deck that is a $1,000 modern deck, and the comments are outraged at the idea of this, and then Teamer Reclamation in standard is $500. And I say, do you think you're going to play standard for 2 years? Well, you will have experienced Teamer Reclamation will not last for 2 years. And
you'll ask yourself as well how many of those cards will carry on to other formats. And
some. There will be some.
There will be a couple, like Brazen Borrowers and
very few. It's always like it's usually, there's exceptions to every rule, but it's on average just going to be a couple cards that carry over.
A handful of playsets at best.
Right. And it's very likely that Teamer Reclamation, Teamer might fall off the map entirely in standard, and if you're only playing standard, you can maybe trade some of those cards, but chances are is if you want to play standard for 2 years, you're going to get a second deck at some point over those 2 years. And that second deck is, again, looking at these prices, here we go. Jund Food, $312. Teamer Adventures, I guess that's Teamer again, $343. Sultai Midrange, $616. That's
What's the most expensive deck
That's because of Euro.
Okay, yeah, so cards I've seen playing
$616. Bant Mid-Ramp, $538. Simic Ramp, $550. So there you go. Simic Ramp, $334. And so my point being is that honestly, 2 years of standard, where then it all gets washed away after those 2 years.
But what about the idea of playing standard?
I feel like you could get a modern deck or even a legacy deck for what you would spend.
But what about playing those decks on Arena? Is that not cheaper? Or is it more expensive?
Arena is free. There's no cost to Arena.
Well, no, there's time investment, of course.
Yes.
Is that? But no, it's a general.
I believe you can get those decks put together with a certain amount of determination on Arena.
Exactly,
without
but I mean,
spending any
again,
money.
that's another cost, right? Like, say you think to yourself, well, I can't afford $500 to play this deck, and I want to play it regularly and get more playtime out of it. So the idea that you can play in the evening when you get home from work on Arena is great, but at the same time, you either have to dump a lot of money in to get the packs, and I don't know, I'm assuming someone out there must have done the math on this sort of stuff, or as you said, with some determination, you can play for free.
Right,
But
there's a
that
lot of
requires
things, you know, like,
time
I mean,
investment.
I have a video where we talk about the premise of you earn gold, not gems on Arena, but there is one event where you can convert your gold into gems, and then you use those gems to enter the larger prize payout events, and we talk about
But
that.
a brawl event.
Yeah,
No, wait,
no,
maybe not.
You know, you pay.
That's a high entry fee, but not a good
you
payout.
pay to just play Brawl with no reward.
Right, no, you get a card. You get a singular
single
copy
card.
of a card that's not legal in standard, yes.
But I want to talk not about Arena. I want to talk about Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
And you see me delighted with my own joke.
Yeah, I guess so.
I view standard as fairly expensive, and I view it as really funny that people will flinch at modern and legacy prices and not as much at standard when 2 years of standard is a modern deck, but then after those 2 years of standard, you're spending more than a modern deck to keep playing standard.
Yeah.
And if
Like
you
I
had
said,
bought
it
into
can
modern,
genuinely
traded
be-
into modern,
Well,
you'd keep playing with that deck. And yes, there's bans, and yes, there are meta shifts and things like that, but you're also better positioned to retain value of those cards. So 90% of these standards cards, if not more, are going to turn into jank penny cards.
Yeah,
I mean, those modern staples are, maybe they will go down in value, but they're still going to retain.
well, so that, I can see what one of the counterpoints or arguments in the conversation will be, which will be about the recent ban of Mox Opal, for example,
that was a
which
big
obviously it tanked the post net.
Still $50.
But yeah, well, for a start, the card still held quite a bit of value. It's still playable in other formats like Legacy and Commander, and therefore it's still a collector's item, and therefore still costs money. But also, like, there's still two Urza decks putting up results regardless of Mox Opal being banned. So
Right.
the decks are still functioning. I mean, on rare occasions, you have things like Twin where the whole combo is banned out or something. But the other point as well is, like, and we were talking about this a bit, I don't think we've talked on the podcast yet, but like Nikachu, for example, keeps putting up results playing Merfolk, which is a deck that isn't going to get a ban anytime soon because it's not oppressive enough. But it just goes to show, if you put the reps in with the deck that you enjoy and love, you can still field a competitive deck in this format of basically any type.
Yeah, Nikachu, this is a player who knows his deck. And it doesn't even have to be that it's Merfolk. You learn your deck.
Yeah, Reduke plays Jund almost always.
Right,
Unless the
and
format
there's
isn't
a
about
million
things.
examples of this, and such for Dredge, and such for an
Death and
oddball,
Taxes.
Lantern Control, whatever. And it's like, this is my deck. I know it like clockwork. And so even a low tier deck like Merfolk, Nikachu took it to second place in a GP a year and a half ago. And yes, that was a whole different modern, but just the other week, he just placed in the challenge and all this stuff. And so that too is why hanging on to that one deck can be of benefit. What about then the cost of modern and legacy?
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So people will be saying, oh, what about bans? What about when Top got banned and the Miracles players couldn't play Miracles, and then the challenge this weekend had 3 Miracles players in top 8? Like, these formats, they have this perception that bans are absolutely backbreaking, and on rare occasion they can be. On rare occasion, a deck or archetype is just neutered perhaps too hard, and like Splinter did nothing wrong, is something I say a lot. But on the whole, you can play the decks that you enjoy, the archetype you can enjoy with minimal changes for quite some time. I mean, you have to make adjustments to metagame, of course, but it's not like buying a new $400 deck. It's picking up a playset of a new card from a new set or something similar. So, but the decks themselves, the initial investment is high. That's the problem with Modern and Legacy, and that's a genuine problem.
I disagree with you completely.
How so? How can you say that the initial investment isn't high?
It isn't high. The initial investment for Modern and Legacy is not high. There's rare exception, of course.
Sure.
It's not high. The investment that's high is Fetchlands.
So yeah, it is high.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
How so?
We did this on a previous Dice to Removal. Take out the Fetchlands, and the majority of decks drop exponentially in cost. So the issue
like
isn't that Modern and Legacy, but the issue is not that Modern and Legacy are inherently high. The issue is that the formats are set up to require this one card that they simply will not reprint.
Sure.
That's $100 a pop.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that statement, but
it's outrageous.
But that's the facts. That's the facts. These formats rely upon Fetchlands that aren't reprinted. So
but if Fetchlands were simply reprinted,
agreed,
to the extent,
but they haven't been, and they may not be from what we're looking at here.
Yes.
So we do have, unfortunately, older formats being even potentially tinfoil hat, like potentially purposefully sabotaged by not reprinting Fetchlands. So the investment is high because cards
The
aren't
only
officially
investment
made
is in Fetchlands. Fetchlands need to be reprinted.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Fetchlands and the rising
Okay.
cost of Magic. You just did a video
Yeah.
called "Reprint Fetchlands, You Cowards."
That was.
and I did a tweet once where I said, if you're not going to reprint Fetchlands, then just ban them, and it went crazy.
I hate that sentiment. I hate the idea.
It was sarcasm.
Yeah, I know it was, but we need to say to people who are sitting here like, yeah, that's because when I did the reprint Fetchlands,
the
you
point of that
cowards.
tweet was the point of the tweet was reprint them, you cowards.
Yeah, sure, but people don't see that. People
Right.
see the initial
Ban.
statement and think that's a great idea because
No.
I don't own Fetchlands and I want to play Modern, and so.
Reprint them.
To
They are
clarify,
not
I
being
want to
reprinted in
we
Zendikar.
need
They
to
are
clarify.
not being reprinted in
Okay,
Zendikar.
sure, but we need to clarify that point.
Yes.
You don't ban things based on price. That is an absolutely ludicrous statement, and people keep saying it. When I did that video, my Twitter was full of people telling me that we need to ban them if they won't get reprinted. The point is, the funny thing is, who commands bans and who commands reprinting? This is the same company. So why would we be banning them because they can't just find a space in Modern Horizons 2
Right.
or Modern Masters The Return or whatever we get? Like, so yeah, banning them is completely off the table, and I think it's a ludicrous notion. I know you weren't saying it seriously, but other people are legitimately saying this.
Reprint
and
them.
It boggles the mind. Yeah.
Reprint them, and then people say, well, you can't reprint them into standard. Then reprint them everywhere else. We're about to talk about all these products that WotC is putting out. 8,000 products a year. And so, okay, well, we can't reprint them in this.
Which again is a statement that I don't necessarily agree with.
I disagree
That's a whole
too.
different video
Yes.
that we've talked about
I
many
disagree
times.
with that as well. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that these are not reprinted.
And the more and more sets we see coming, not including random premium things that wouldn't really work because the accessibility to the card wouldn't increase enough. But there's like the Jumpstart and Mystery Booster and whatever the Horizons or Master set is this year, and so on and so on and so on.
They're
We
not
should
in
just be-
mystery. They're not in mystery boosters.
They're not in the Mystery Boosters that we know about. I
Right.
still have a glimmer of hope because for those that don't know, there's the test cards in the
Right.
GP versions. They're replaced with something in the retail. We don't-
Disclaimer: this video is probably going to go up about we're putting it up about 3 weeks after filming.
which always shoots us in the foot because
Well, maybe not because we get to, as somebody pointed out, and 3 weeks is not bad. Don't say the video's out of date. That's stupid. The video's not out of date. It's just we recorded this. It needs to be edited, processed, everything. There's one that I want to put up before it, and then this one goes up. It's only 3 weeks old. They will probably have revealed by the time this goes up, maybe even like literally right as it goes up, what are in those foils. Maybe there are foil Fetchlands.
Glimmer of hope.
No chance. No chance that there are foil Fetchlands in the Mystery Booster. No chance that there were Fetchlands in Modern Horizons. No chance that there are Fetchlands in the Masters sets, except for one.
But surely,
Only
if
one
they
master
aren't
set.
purposefully sabotaging the ability
No
to get into
commander
older
decks
formats,
have Fetchlands.
then-
No,
we know they're not going to put in precons. We know that. Like,
they're not putting it in anything.
yeah, but what I'm asking
They're not even
you-
putting it in Zendikar.
Yeah, we know that. I'm
We're
asking.
going to return to Tarkir and not get it.
Sure, but why are you saying they can't be in the Horizons boosters, and why are you saying the next Horizons set, and why are you saying they
No,
can't?
they should be. They should be in all of that.
Exactly.
Every single thing I mentioned,
Exactly.
they should be in.
So we
and
can-
then Fetchlands would be $5-10 each.
Yeah, so we can wait and hopefully see that they make the correct call and they finally undo some of the harm they're doing to older formats by making them prohibitively expensive and too difficult to get into. Because
How long we got to wait?
I don't know, Brian. I don't know. In my video, I did the math of like average time span. It's like 6.5 years for one of them and like 4 for the other between printings. I'm like, how is that possible when
You
you
did a
control
video?
the flow of the product? What
Yeah.
other than literally either being incompetency or on purpose? I don't understand.
Can it be both those things?
No, because I don't think people at the company are dumb. It's so frustrating. It's so for record as well. We talked about this over breakfast this morning. In my budget series, it's not just the reserve list cards that I'm trying to move out of the decks. It's that I've got to cut Fetchlands because a playset of Fetchlands is upwards towards $400.
Right.
And at that point, and then you're like, oh, so it's Legacy, and do I cut Brainstorm at this point? It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre.
Idea just hit me. So I said, if you're not going to reprint Fetchlands, just ban them. New tweet. I'm going to send this right after we record. We'll see how well it goes. If you're not going to reprint Fetchlands, just move them to the reserve list and be done with it. Just move them to the reserve list.
I think that is a good sentiment. And some people have said this. Some people have said in the comment section of my videos, there is a second reserve list. They just don't acknowledge it. They don't
Yeah.
say it exists, but
Yeah.
there is because they're trying to keep some collector's market going. And it's just... But I guess the other argument is instead of banning them out of Legacy or Modern, is that they'll just eventually just kill off Legacy and Modern and do Pioneer and then they'll do Frontier or whatever the next format is called. And it's virtually the same. It's
Right.
virtually the same of dropping support for the formats that need them.
Right.
But
The other thing that is leading to the rising cost of Magic is that not only are Fetchlands not getting reprinted, but a lot of desired and needed for play or just otherwise collectible cards, just aspects of the game,
sure.
used to be present in booster packs, which we saw last year rebranded. They're not booster packs anymore, they're draft packs. They've been rebranded, and all of those elements have been taken out and monetized. And one of those elements is lottery cards, meaning that we used to have lottery cards where I would open Zendikar and I would have what was called an expedition. I would have a chance at getting a lottery card. It was about one per case, very rare. I thought they should have upped it a little bit, but that's another story. And these were really loved. They did too many of them per set, but nobody wanted them gone. They just said, you know what? Instead of doing 20 lands in Zendikar, just do 5 lands and pace yourself. And everyone loved this. It sold packs.
It did, and you say everyone loved it. There was always, as there was this with everything in Magic, like some criticisms. Like, for example, the Expedition one, the common thing was, oh, I feel bad when I open the Tango lands, the lands from the actual set themselves.
Well, that's why they shouldn't. It should have been the Fetchlands.
And then the Amonkhet one was just basically everyone bemoaning some of the card choices, but also the frame. And so we had a lot of complaints, and I think those complaints are what allow Wizards to justify changing things, when in reality those
I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to say that if people hadn't complained, they wouldn't have done it.
No.
They
You misunderstand me. You misunderstand me.
Okay, because they recently did a tweet. They recently did a tweet where they said, you don't get a book in Theros because people complained about War of the Spark.
Yeah,
and they
so
were
I'm
like
not-
putting the
no, so
problems on you.
Yeah, you misunderstand.
I don't like that at all.
Again, you misunderstand me. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that that's okay for them to do,
Right.
but they are literally doing it.
Right.
They're saying people complain about this, so it's no longer there. And you're like, no, people complain about an aspect of it,
Right.
not the whole thing.
People said you put an expedition that's a 1 in a case chance that was Force of Will, and then you also put an expedition that is a card that is played nowhere and has a 50-cent value as an expedition, and you should have just had it Force of Will. Like you should. I would have rather had twice the chances of getting a Force of Will to allow access.
Sure, but I mean, I didn't even dislike the low end cost ones because it's still extra stuff. It's still, even the lowest end ones of those, even the Expedition Tango lands are still exactly.
They took them out.
Giving us a high value card that Timmy can open up down the shop and trade into his first fetch land or whatever. There's no real downside to it, regardless of the complaints.
And we saw that there had been I keep saying expeditions, masterpieces is what they redubbed them. There had been masterpieces planned for Ixalan. Some of them got repurposed as judge promos, where some of those judge promos, like Demonic Tutor, it's an Ixalan-based one, and it got repurposed as a judge promo, but that was going to be a masterpiece in there, et cetera, et cetera.
But the point is, like, they have, I keep calling it where they're using the whole cow. Instead of giving us something for free, instead they take it away and they put it into another product to sell to us. And
they took the War of the Spark Planeswalker masterpieces out of packs and they sold it to us for $250 to $500.
Yeah. And we see it now. The worst offender most recently is Secret Lairs, where I really liked the initial Secret Lair launches. I thought they were all cool, interesting stuff you wouldn't see in the standard set. And then at Worlds, we had the Constellation Old Gods. And I was just like there thinking, surely these were the masterpieces that we once had. Yeah. And the thing is, I know they don't have to give us things for free. I know there's an argument.
They're not giving it to free. I'm spending money.
There's an argument that people say that, like, well, you're entitled. Why do you expect these things? But like, the worst thing is that we had it. It's now taken away and put on another product. It's almost, you can't show us the glory and then take it away. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I was very frustrated when I saw those Worlds ones, because like, this is literally the Expeditions, but in a £40 box I need to buy separately.
Yeah, and the thing is, and then they say, well, the packs aren't selling very well.
Well, surely the packs must be selling well. Otherwise, why would they have took that? Because a lottery cards shifted packs. We know that, right? Like, they've even acknowledged that pack sales were up and staple costs were down because they've opened a product. So the fact that they removed them but haven't said that like sales are down necessarily must suggest that we must be in such a boom of Magic. They don't need things to shift sets. They don't need Fetchlands. They don't need Expeditions.
Well, the thing is I think that we're in a boom of Magic because they took what used to be in $4 boosters and they're selling them as secret layers. They're selling them as mythic editions. They're also selling in many ways, like, this is an example I have of something that's been removed from draft boosters. What were the best? Name to me some of the best commanders from Throne of Eldraine.
The broad deck ones, aren't they? Tulane and Corvold.
So Tulane is in standard. Chulain is standard.
Well, Corvold's a standard thing.
Corvold, there you go. But they would not put that in a draft booster because why do that when they could sell it to you individually?
Yeah. So that tells me that the draft booster is selling just fine. It's selling at the expectation or higher than they expect it to, and therefore they don't need to incentivize people to buy it, and they can sell you the other ways, right?
So now I have an additional cost in that I have to buy the Brawl deck to get the commander that I normally would have gotten in a draft pack. Now I have to buy the...
However, there is a counterpoint to that, is that you can go and buy your Brawl deck, get your commander, and you don't have to fish for it in randomized product, or buy singles from your LGS.
or buy singles.
So
I don't have to
upside
buy
and
singles from my
downside
LGS because I've got Secret Lair now.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's upside, but that's also a definitive downside for the LGS, where like your singles are now sold to you in a box, as opposed to, I mean, I generally liked Secret Lair when it started, and then the new one, the International Women's Day one that was announced a day or two before we recorded this.
It's nice artwork.
It's really good. I really like it. I've considered picking one up.
Too.
And again, at least it doesn't feel like I've had that taken away from me. But the Starfield ones were 100% taken away from us and not put in Theros.
Yes, and I feel that is the problem, is that any future good ideas, why ever make draft boosters better when you can just sell it to us individually? And I think that is part of the growing cost of Magic too. So now you want the commander, you got to buy the Secret Lair. Like you want the master, you got to buy the Secret Lair.
Well, Mythic Editions seems like it's gone now. That hasn't been mentioned for a while. So maybe Secret Lairs will...
I think that's what it turned into.
Yes, but Secret Lairs will randomly disappear halfway through this year, and then we'll have a different product, right? And it'll probably be even more like that.
Secret Lair is exponentially lucrative.
Sure, but so was Mythic Edition, right? Mythic Edition just sold out and made them tons of money.
Well,
tons of money.
Yeah.
Absolute serious bankroll.
We've been getting a Secret Lair. So again, this is going up about 3 weeks after we record it. I bet you there'll have been the most recent Secret Lair Vince and I are currently aware of is the International Women's Day one. I'm betting cash right now between this video and its publication date in 3 weeks time that there will have been at least one more Secret Lair announced. They're doing like one every 2 weeks. And I did a video where I said, I don't think Secret Lairs are a problem as long as... And no, everyone went, oh, Prof says they're not a big problem. And I said, they're not a big problem as long as WotC doesn't start spitting them out every couple weeks.
Okay.
And then they started spitting them out every couple weeks, and now I look like the idiot.
Again, let's look at like it, try and give a balanced perspective, right? So let's say that the growing cost of Magic, like if you bought every one of it, you've got a point that's coming up surely where we're talking about the cost of buying everything that's come out, right? But when it comes to Secret Lair, you're not buying every single one, right? I wanted to buy the Dredge one.
Right.
And I want to buy and I'm considering buying the women's one, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't need to buy the other ones. So if they are coming out every 2 weeks, is that really a detriment to the player? I mean, it's a detriment to their local game store. I mean, that's something that we've all come to the conclusion of. But is it a detriment to the player directly if there are every 2 weeks a Secret Lair and you only need one or two of them a year that like tickle your fancy?
No, well, part of the things that's so insidious about Secret Lairs is that it's Wizards being able to offer us players, I sound like such an idiot saying this, a really good deal. It's like, how dare you? But it is. But the problem is the effect that it's having. So Wizards is able to say, oh, cool. Like the International Women's Day one is great value. If you wanted those cards, you're going to get a much better deal with blinged out card versions of them for Commander, which is what you want those cards for, by purchasing that Secret Lair, then going into your local game store. And so that it's hard not to buy it because it's such a great deal, a great value. But what is being missed out on, and never mind all the discussion, and I really support local game stores. And yes, this is when they're doing it this often, it is absolutely going to be detrimental to local game stores.
Sure, yeah.
Once or twice a year is what I thought it was going to be. 1 to 2 times a year. 1 to 2 times a month is another story. Even once a month is another story. That's definitely detrimental to local game stores. But also, again, how come these blinged out cards are not available? Like we've already seen things like Commander Precons go down in terms of what you're getting from within them, and how
there was an uptick last year though, right? Because so an uptick. Okay.
And so again, what we're seeing is a deconstruction of things that were part of something else and monetization of what's being. So it's kind of like if I'm going to make you a plate for dinner, and on that plate you've got some Brussels sprouts, you've got a big fatty steak, you've got some mac and cheese, you got some cranberry sauce, and that's what you get for your plate for dinner. But then what I've started doing is I've started saying, well, the mac and cheese is it's not part of the dinner plate anymore. That's $2.50 extra.
Yeah, sure.
You go, oh, okay, well, I'll have the mac and cheese. And it's like, well, maybe you don't like mac and cheese, so you don't have to get it. But if you do get it, it's $2.50 extra. And it's like, well, that used to be part of the plate. And then I'm going to start saying like, well, you know, the steak. Let's cut all the fat off the steak.
Sure. I mean,
and it's kind of like you're getting.
Sure.
So now
But
you're ending up
with
with no fat on the steak, and Brussels sprouts.
Fine. So they're taking the things away.
Right.
We're carving up. Sure. But I'm asking you about the increased frequency of said product, right? Like they are 100% carving out the things they used to give us and selling it back to us for money,
right?
And that's irrefutable. But going from like 2 every year to 2 every month of the secret lair, if the average player only wants to buy a couple of them, I mean, there are players that will give into the FOMO thing and buy all of them. That's another potentially problematic part of that business model potentially.
Right.
But if I'm only going to pick up 2 of them a year, is it really increasing the cost of Magic overall if I'm only picking up 2 of these a year? And that would have been the FTV that I picked up before, or that would have been, although that money would go to the game stores.
I would argue it is, because I would argue that if those are cards that would have otherwise been in what you're already spending the money on, so
but they weren't. FTV was never part of a booster product. FTV was from the vault was a completely different thing.
But they're still from the vault.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say to you. They're taking something away from us.
No. They're still from the vault. They just call it Signature Spellbook now. It's still from the vault. Sure.
So let's say I don't buy Signature Spellbook anymore because it's not as good.
But then let's say, but you used to buy that, and that's what it used to be in.
So, but again, I'm not spending any more money. I'm just picking up a different product with a different name. It's got different things in it.
Well, then it comes down to what you're spending your money on.
Sure.
Of course, you don't. Yeah. I mean, and all of this can be answered, and people can just say, "Hey, then don't buy it."
Yeah. I mean, I have a personal issue with that. So there's the statement of not all products for everyone, which is a common thing right now. It's part of the general discourse around Magic. And the problem I have with that
Wizards has said it multiple times.
Yes. Yeah, Wizards have started this axiom that's now.
It wasn't even just the one. I caught them on the first time they said that, and I had that in a video. But then it was
in one of the Mythic Edition streams.
Mythic Edition said, "Well, maybe it's not for you." And then Rosewater said, "Maybe it's not for you."
The counterpoint, or at least the point that I want to add on to that is that sure, not all these products are for me. I'm not going to buy every Secret Lair, or I'm not going to buy every Commander Precon, or every draft pack of Commander Legends, or Jumpstart, or any of the other numerous products. But I also need to know where certain cards are for Legacy. I need to know where the cards are that I want for Commander. And to do that, I need to pay attention to the bombardment of information coming to me. And we are being bombarded with so much product information that even people who are like us, who make videos about this stuff, still can't necessarily tell you where things are. Right. And there's an anecdote I don't think I've said in the podcast yet. I talked about people at my local game store arguing over whether or not a card that was opened in the Collector's Booster was legal in Standard or not, because it was in the Ball deck. And they both had points. Oh, Collector's Booster Standard legal. Other guys like, but then a Ball deck. I was like, Commander. And they're back and forth. And I was like, this is crazy. So that's not their fault. You don't know what you can't be. You're not told. The problem is there's just so much information. So I don't want to buy everything, but I do need to know where things are that I do want to buy. How do I know what product is for me if there's just such a plethora of information being bombarded at me at all times?
Right, absolutely. And so let's talk about that information. Again, who knows how many products will be announced in the 3 weeks between us filming
There will
this
at least be one product in the next 3 weeks announced.
Yeah,
come on.
Absolutely.
Or an announcement of a product announcement.
Right.
You might know what
an
product it is.
announcement of an announcement of an
There will
announcement.
be something new is coming. Are you excited? And I'll be like, I am excited because I love Magic. And then they'll announce it and I'll be like...
So instead of looking at 2020, where we have a 3-week delay in this video, let's take a look at 2019. I tried to compile a list of every single product that was released last year for Magic the Gathering, and I have missed a few. I already know I missed a few, like the starter kits that are like in Target and Walmart by Wizards now, where it's the 2-deck starter kits and things like that. But I got most of the products, and here is everything that I was able to compile. Please let me know if I left something out, but that just shows how much stuff there was. In 2019, we start with Ravnica Allegiance, all right? And of course, with Ravnica Allegiance comes the Ravnica Allegiance Planeswalker decks, the Ravnica Allegiance Bundle, the Ravnica Allegiance Deck Builders Toolkit. But then we also had the Ravnica Allegiance Guild Kits, A+ product, loved it. But there you go. A lot of Ravnica Allegiance stuff
As you go through this, imagine your game store filling up with the products, and then some of them are still left over from the last month, and then more fill up in front of them. Just imagine it populating with all this stuff.
Then we had the Challenger decks. How many Challenger decks were there? There's 4, right?
Pass. I'm so thinking of the new ones that just announced that I can't tell you what they were last year.
How many? Oh, I should be quizzing Vince. How many guild kits were in Ravnica Allegiance?
1 per guild, 5.
And which guilds were they?
All 5 of the guilds.
No. Which 5 guilds? Do you remember?
Oh,
which
sorry,
were
because
the
they
5
didn't
guilds
separate
in
the guilds.
allegiance? Can you even recall which 5 guilds were in allegiance?
No, Golgari, is it? I'm just gonna name 5 random guilds here. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, so you don't remember how many Challenger decks there were in 2019?
I'm gonna say 3.
Can you name what they were?
No, literally no idea.
What do they cost?
£30.
Okay.
Oh, dollars. Freedom bucks.
Freedom bucks.
No
40,
idea.
They're $40.
Cheaper than what we're getting them for.
Right. Then after Challenger decks 2019 was War of the Spark Mythic Edition.
Which came out before the set, something we noticed earlier. Is that right?
Yes, it was ahead of the set. It came out before War of the Spark, just as the Ravnica Allegiance Mythic Edition was 2018.
Okay.
So that's not on this list, but the War of the Spark Mythic Edition did come out. What was in the Ravnica War of the Spark Mythic Edition?
Booster box, and then it also had 12 foil cards, planeswalkers of some kind. Was that the one with Jace the Mind Sculptor in it? I'm not even sure. It was in one of the Mythic editions.
Can you name all the planeswalkers in War of the Spark Mythic Edition?
Great Creator? Is he in there? Or is it a different card?
Okay.
Does that 3 cards?
What was the
too,
price of that?
280, 250.
Yeah,
250.
So then you have War of the Spark. The set comes out. So imagine you want to pick up a booster box of that, get the buy box promo. War of the Spark Planeswalker decks come out. War of the Spark Bundle comes out. War of the Spark Deck Builders Toolkit comes out. Modern Horizons.
Yep.
You remember what was in Modern Horizons.
So here's one of the things I want to point out about all this is
Yes.
that when we get supplemental sets like Horizons or Conspiracy or Battle Bond or whatever, it's just so simple.
Right.
It's almost beautiful. It's almost like going back to
the
a
old
bygone
days.
age
Bygone
when you
age.
just get a booster box and that's it.
But you could name, look at you struggling for all that information. I know you could name all the stuff out of Modern Horizons.
I can tell you things that are banned, I can tell you things that are important there, like Astrolabes and Hogaaks, Playing Engineers, Ren and Sixes. And it just came in a beautiful, slightly more expensive premium costing boxes, but the value was there and the cards were great and it warped some eternal formats. But
I have my issues with Horizons, but I
think it was one of the best products they released last year, despite all the problems.
Even as someone who wasn't really on board with Modern Horizons, I kind of agree.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't say much for 2019 products. After that was Signature Spellbook Who?
Gideon.
What was in it?
Rest in Peace, Path to Exile, True Conviction, Worship, Martyr's Bond, and some random indestructibility enchantment that no one cared about and was the wasted slot that could have been
Nice product. I like Signature Spellbooks. And you know why? It's only $20.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's only $20, not $250. It's $20. Signature Spellbooks are great. Core Set 2020 followed that with the Core Set Planeswalker decks, of which there were 5 instead of 2. Core Set Bundle, Core Set Deck Builders Toolkit, and then Commander 2019. How many Commander decks?
5? No, 4. Sorry, 4. There used to be 5, right? No, there's 5 one year, but they're 4 most years. Though they haven't been every, whatever.
And which Commander decks were in 2019?
So we had 4. We had Geared with Naya tokens. We had the Sultai Morph one. We had Angie. Angie was Red Black Vampire Madness. And then we had Graveyard Stuff, which was Savine, but it's just Graveyard Stuff. So it was quite a unique approach. I really liked the Commander product. Compared to what they've been like the year or so before, last year's were good.
After that was Throne of Eldraine, and here we go, the Throne of Eldraine Deluxe Edition.
So not Mythic anymore.
No, now we're also not any of the value of Mythic because we're down to Deluxe where it was a folder, it was a non-foil promo.
But the box was huge, wasn't it? And you took the folder out and there's like 2 cards in the middle of it.
One of them was not foil, and
like
both of them are available in booster packs.
Yeah, but I mean...
There was a uncut foil sheet.
Was it? Oh, yeah, well, no. It was
$450.
And this is the other thing as well, is there's no consistency, right? So if every set had a guild kit equivalent, a Planeswalker equivalent, and a bundle and that equivalent, and a Mythic equivalent, it would kind of start to make sense. But instead of having a Mythic Edition equivalent, we did have that, but they changed the name, they changed the price point, they said...
Can't follow it.
Yeah, it's just noise. It's just so much noise.
We had the Eldraine Planeswalker decks, but those are no longer regular this year. Planeswalker decks have been discontinued outside of the core set. Ikoria will not have Planeswalker decks, nor will Zendikar.
I mean, no one's going to weep for that, right? No one cares about them. They are the most nonsense. I wasn't going to say this, but I say of all the stuff you're reading out, they're just the most nonsense product. They are the intro pack. things, right? Do you remember intro pack? I used to call it intro pack rares. You open up your sealed pool, you get an intro pack rare. It might be good in your limited pool for pre-release, but it's a card you do not want to see to put in your folder, and that's the intro packs.
Who said it? There was a YouTuber who, when Planeswalker decks were first created, who was it? There was a YouTuber, and
Is it you?
they did a review.
It's
was
just so
me.
obvious when we're
It was
going.
me.
Oh,
They did a review, and they said this is an intro pack where they've taken an intentionally bad Planeswalker, scotch taped it onto the intro pack, and sold it to you for a couple more bucks. And
which leads to more confusion because there's that wonderful, like, I guess it's a joke post you talk about where someone's took the intro pack Oko and be like, how is this broken?
Right. Terrible.
That's a legitimate thing. You walk into a game store, you've heard the Oko's wrecking standard. Someone has a folder with an Oko in it, and you look at this Oko and you're like, this is the
I feel so vindicated. I feel so vindicated. Okay, so Throne of Eldraine. Then we introduce a new product, the Throne of Eldraine Collector Booster Packs.
This is part of Project Booster Fun?
Vince, is part of Project Booster Fun. I will give you $1 million if you can tell me exactly and without error what the contents of an Eldraine Collector Booster Pack
I genuinely
is.
I know we're cosplaying as them today, but I don't think our genuine Wizards employee will be able to tell you what's exactly in those packs. But don't forget that. But I mean, I don't know if you got it on there. That the theme boosters come alongside this, right? So you got draft, theme, and collector's boosters for this set now.
Oh, I missed out on the theme boosters.
Which are 30 cards. And
Right, I
again,
left that off of this. Yeah.
Has anyone written a guide online telling you exactly what you can get in the black or the blue or the green one? Because again, it's not very. Oh, did you do that?
I did do that.
Oh, right, okay,
so please be sure to check that video out and see my grade. But yes, I did do that. They're continuing, and we're also getting to jumpstart this year. But never mind. Never mind. We're talking about 2019. So the theme boosters also came out. The collector booster packs also came out.
So it's foils, showcase frames.
We also had another
arts.
new thing. Eldraine bundle, like every other set, but we also had the Eldraine holiday bundle. And this one, can you tell me the difference between the Eldraine bundle and the Eldraine holiday bundle?
So fun fact, I've opened some form of bundle for this on my channel. I don't know which one it was. And it's got an oversized dice in it and a foil back collector.
There's only one difference between the two. There's only one difference between the two.
So the dice is either small or big, or the foil is not foil or not foil.
They're the same in
lands?
both. Nope, the same in both.
Because you get foil lands in them, don't you?
Both. It's like
number of boosters.
Nope, same.
A book.
It's all the
That
same.
was a joke. There's no books in these things anymore.
The difference is
The sleeve.
the holiday bundle has one collector booster pack in it, in addition to the regular booster packs.
That wasn't the one I had.
And the regular bundle does not have that one. That's the only difference.
What's the price difference between those two things?
Double the price.
Wait, what was the original price of the bundle though?
MSRP's $40. They wanted 80 for the holiday. It tanked like crazy because nobody wanted the collector booster. And it actually got to a point where you could buy the holiday bundle. And this is where it gets to be like, all right, good deal. But like where you could buy from people liquidating it, the holiday bundle for the price of a regular bundle because nobody was going to spend $80 on a holiday bundle.
Wow.
Yeah. We're not even done. Eldraine Deck Builder's Toolkit. And then we have, I don't know if this counts. These are a couple that may not count, but I left off theme boosters. I did not include these next ones in my total price of product. The Mystery Booster Convention Edition came out.
Sure.
So these were not a product at your local game store, but then again, neither was Secret Lair, which I'm going to mention in a minute. These were a product that was only for conventions. I don't know if that counts, but it did come out in 2018. And then we also had, very interestingly enough, another set of Challenger decks, but only in Japan. So we had Japanese Challenger decks.
I did not even know that existed.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool. And they were different because they were supposed to reflect the Japanese meta, which was different.
Right.
And I think
not quite like the Chinese Planeswalker decks from the year before.
Nissa World Wake, or the Nissa. What's the Nissa? What is the name of the Nissa?
Nissa who shakes the world.
Who shakes the world. I can't even, it's like I'm like Nissa World Waker because there's been 800 Nissas now.
But I mean, at least on an improvement, here's a slight improvement, was the year before this, where we had Chinese-only intro Planeswalker decks that had Planeswalkers that were legal in China to play in Standard.
Mainland China, right.
Yeah, but weren't legal in America or Europe to play in Standard. So at least there's an improvement.
Say China, you're gonna, my algorithm.
Oh.
Makeup tutorial. They were legal in makeup tutorial, but epic prank video was not.
Do you reckon China affects algorithms?
Yeah, China affects algorithms.
Oh, wow.
People are bitching about me because I've got a book of Chinese history on the bookshelf. And they're like, why do you have a book?
You're damaging the trade wars that America's having.
It's a history book. I can't have a history book on China? Jeez Louise. Everyone's like, well, you have a book on China.
You're an agent. You're an agent of the trade war.
We're not done. We're not done. Game Night 2019 came out.
So this is the board game equivalent. There's one of these every year, right?
Can you tell me anything about that product?
So we had Explore of Ixalan the year before. We have this. It's 5 decks. It's markedly cheaper than the unsanctioned product, even though it's got more cards in it. It had a dice.
But like, what were the decks? What were in them? There were 5 unique cards.
So they put a unique Commander Desirable Chase rare essentially to each of the decks so that people pick up the product.
They weren't desirable enough.
Well, some of them are generally good.
I like the red one.
Several of them are generally good.
Yeah.
But they're the sort of thing that you'd now try and buy off of a singles like store or website.
Like your local game store.
Yeah. Who somehow had to dismantle this box to get those singles.
And that was 2019.
Is that it?
That's everything I found. What did I forget?
I don't know. I was just enjoying it. I felt like it was like a never-ending story.
Right. How much would you say if I wanted to buy one copy of each thing, including one booster box?
You'd be insane.
That
because
includes
why would you buy Planeswalker decks? But yeah, sure.
Including one booster box per set. Well, you know, everybody always says when the new set comes out, I like to pick up the Planeswalker decks in a bundle. All right. You know, okay. Yeah, but this is including if you bought a deck builder. Those are $20 each. Like, you know, come on. But I'm just saying if you bought one of each of this, keeping in mind I did not include mystery boosters or the Japanese challenger decks in this price.
You should have stuck one draft in there.
Secret Lair was the final thing of 2019.
Yeah, so you were missing something.
I was missing something. I didn't include that in this price.
We have only one Secret Lair and then they launched the multiple ones. We've had 3 this year already, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
3.
we've had Rat, Gods, Women's. 3 already this year.
It's not even month 3.
It's month crazy. 2. It's crazy.
So if I bought one of everything, not counting
$1 million.
$2,800.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. If I bought one of everything.
It's so scary trying to think how much that stuff did I actually end up buying.
That's a rough guesstimate because on some of this like prices, I would try to go by MSRP, but that's my rough numbers. $2,800.
I do want to counterpoint this, and I do want to play devil's advocate or whatever term you want to use. It's like
Watsy advocate. You're playing Watts. That's why we're dressed like this.
Sure, whatever. You can say that if you want to, but like no one buys all that stuff,
right?
Because some of it is just crap. Like that's just the honest opinion. Some of it is just.
It's not crap. It's just not for you, Vince.
Look, Mark Rose once said that you can't have good cards without bad cards. Brian. So you can't have good products without bad products.
Did he say that?
Yeah, that was in the discussion around Limited and how it has to be bad cards. It's a famous article.
Right.
People have criticised him since. I believe he's right on that count. But can we apply that to products? Can you have good products if you don't have bad products to compare it to, Brian? You have a grading system. Can the grading system work in an abstract where everything is good? I don't think so. You need comparisons, right?
I guess. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Like just thinking over 2019 is so tiring because of all of that. And the fact that we're only in February and there's been 3 secret layers already.
And an additional random announcement of Jumpstart. Which, for the record, I think Jumpstart sounds great. Like, I'm actually excited to play with it and see what cards are in it. However, it's just a random announcement out of nowhere. And I was there getting my unsanctioned video ready.
Right.
And I was like, oh, there's something else.
You should have named your video Jumpstart. It would have gotten better views.
Yeah.
I'll make your video appear here.
Yeah.
Aren't I nice? I'm making it right here.
There you go. Go watch Unsanctioned. No one.
By the time this comes out, nobody even
no one cares.
remembers.
It's 2 days since it came out. No one cares.
Yeah. But here's the other thing. Now, this is an effect it also has. Is like I said. Well, it's gonna. I have to do the sound editing on this. It's gonna be 3 weeks before this video comes up. Unsanctioned hasn't been released as of today.
Yeah.
Unsanctioned comes out in 3 days from here. But 3 weeks from here, me making Vince's video appear here to go watch him play. He doesn't just unbox it. He plays it. He talks about it. It's a well-produced video. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're going to be talking about...
Well, by the time this goes out, we'll have some form of Ikoria spoiler, without a doubt. There'll be something.
Oh, well, never mind that. They're going to be talking about Zendikar Arch Enemy Returns. You know, the new 5-deck collection that costs $700.
3 decks versus 1 fetch land.
Right.
And you're like, well, it's not a good deck, but at least it costs some money.
At least you get a fetch land. At least you get a fetch land. What are the solutions? I don't want to just be like our usual pessimistic selves. I know people have criticized that ever since I started having Vince on the channel, I've become very pessimistic.
I sit and I'm like, can we try and do a positive episode?
He gets off the plane and he says, "How you doing?" And I go, and he goes, "That's
exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting him not to say I'm good." The obvious solution is just to print the cards that make all the. Okay, so I'm biased because I like Eternal Magic, I like Commander, I like all these other formats we play with the old cards. So maybe make some of them not so expensive. I'm not even saying crash the market.
No,
I'm not saying
you don't have to crash the
I'm not saying
market.
healthcare for everyone. That's just a crazy socialist thing, right?
You're gonna ruin my algorithm.
sorry, Bernie Gang. But what
Yang
I'm saying
Gang.
is no, they hit the Bernie Gang as well.
That's Yang Gang. It rhymes.
No, Yang Gang is gone. There's the Bernie Gang now. They call themselves the Bernie Gang.
Let's not talk
Was
politics.
it Bernie Bros?
No, let's not
I'm
talk.
getting it wrong.
Oh, you're ruining my viewership. You're ruining my
But
algorithm.
I'm not saying healthcare for all. I'm not saying Fetchlands for all. I'm just saying they shouldn't be £100 each.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. It's so
Right.
fundamentally just stupidly obvious. So reprints, and in theory, we've got the environment for that.
It
We've got
doesn't
more
even
points
need
than
to be
ever.
reprints of every card that's played, but the thing with Fetchlands is that they're so critical to so many decks. It's one thing if it's just like, for example, it's now banned, but I always felt, well, Mox Opal's super expensive, but you only needed that for one or two
decks,
decks.
yeah.
And so it's like, okay, there's other things, but Fetchlands are needed for so many decks. Reprinting those Fetchlands, I would also say, make booster packs great again. Make booster packs great again. Don't take the good commanders out and sell them in a separate product.
Yep.
You can have other commander products, but why not make sure to put cool commander stuff in booster packs? Why not make sure to put reprints in booster packs? Why not make sure that that booster pack is still the center of Magic the Gathering and not just this auxiliary product? I can't believe that boosters have been taken from this is what Magic the Gathering is to, oh, it's for people who like draft.
But it's interesting that you say about draft being the cheapest way to enjoy Magic, and then there might be a focus on moving away from draft because limited isn't desirable to
tinfoil.
watch. And no, it's not tinfoil. It's not tinfoil at all. There's a conscious acknowledgement that it's not good to watch or good for the optics of esports.
Yep.
And then, yeah, is it the best way for them to make money? No, because unless they say, come draft, but to draft you want to buy a £50 draft box.
Right.
We get 3 collector draft boosters and something like that. You know?
I would also say, as the product review guy, one of my pieces of advice would be cut the chaff. Because I think that you have this added effect of both information overload and also people are going to end up, like I know people who went out and were just like, oh, okay, well, I am going to pick up what I hear advertised. They are going to try and pick some stuff up. And then you have a product like Game Night, which is such a disappointing product. And Planeswalker decks, as you were certainly getting your digs in on. And I think that cut the chaff and make it so that, yeah, as opposed to the idea that there need to be bad Magic cards, make it so that every product is extraordinary and stop with this premise of, well, we want to make something for the casuals and they're little babies who can't handle lightning bolts. Like, stop that. Make it good. If you want to sell Planeswalker deck for new players, don't put a 3-mana shock in there. Don't put an intentionally bad card in there so that it won't be standard legal. Put good cards in the decks. Make your products all good.
So
there's this long...
But is that unfair to tell a company to not try and make some money by giving you crap cards you need to upgrade?
Yeah.
Is that unfair? Is that unfair?
Is that unfair for me to say, don't give me crap? Yes, that is not unfair.
But the argument people always say when I'm like, bring back Expeditions, bring back the lottery cards, because I think they were nothing but good. People are like, well, why should they give you it for free? Is it unfair?
Yeah,
is that unfair to say?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. That's like saying, is it unfair for me to expect my car to have a steering wheel? Is it unfair for me to expect my car?
I think that's slightly different, but I get where you're going with it.
Right. It's
not,
like, okay, you buy a video game system and it doesn't come with the power cord, and some of them don't. You have to buy.
There's a period when Nintendo didn't like put chargers in with their decks.
That's BS.
Yeah.
That is BS. If I buy a Game Boy and I can't plug it into the wall.
If they can get away with it, why wouldn't they?
Well, sure. Well, then we're just going to turn into Magic Arena only, and it's all just pay to play and win and loot boxes and exponentially profitable. And oh my God, that's a great idea.
So let's do it. I think we can get our jobs back.
Pleasant Kenobi. I was just stretching my calves on the bookshelf. Isometric exercise. Care to join me?
Why is there smoke coming out of that box of Magic cards, Brian?
Oh, that isn't smoke. It's steam. Steam adding atmosphere to the piping hot games of Commander we're about to have. Piping hot Commander night.